Hello, everyone. Roger and Lou here again, and welcome to our homes. We wanted to invite you to a discussion today about how to stay connected while you're in the workplace. I am Lou Urban. I'm a transformational coach and energy worker, concentrating primarily in removing energy blocks. And my co-host is.
And I'm Roger Dawson, and I too am a life coach, law of attraction practitioner, hypnotherapist, light body worker, and things that I haven't even begun yet. So that's me.
Awesome. So I think that Roger and I identified an issue that could be something that is affecting you while you're at work, and that's about staying in flow or staying connected to source. Because there's just so many things that can take you off track. Some of the things that came up for me were, let's say that you're in a situation that isn't turning out the way that you thought that it would. How do you stay in that flow? How do you stay in that place of being true to yourself and still being true to everyone in the circumstance? Roger, you got any thoughts on that?
Oh, I do, actually. So I can give you what I do. And that is I start each day with a prayer on what I'm looking for in the day. And I ask to be guided and to be given the words to keep me in that centered state of alignment to source. And throughout my day, stresses will hit me, just like all of us have.
Oh, absolutely.
And just whenever I start to veer off course, little reminders will come from the universe, whether it be a unique time, something will float through my mind. I'll get an email that will trigger something that will be cute. Case in point, that could be just reminders, or you'll get that text from somebody that will kind of, oh wow, where am I at? Where am I at in this process? And the thing is that, when stresses have come to me, I'm often thinking, well, what did I do to create that? Because certainly, and when did the creation of that start to occur? So I can learn to course correct. And so that is the thing that I find as I get my reminders is I kind of giggle and it recenters me. It takes me back to that place of being this authentic person and aligned with source. So
Absolutely. I agree with you. It really is about, setting the intention at the beginning of the day, how you want the day to flow, and to, being in that space of I'm going to be choosing to be in alignment. And then for me at least, when I have circumstances that come up where I may be getting out of alignment with who I am. There's a number of things that happen. There's the aha moment that, this is going on, and choosing to reconnect. One of the things that I use is I just say the words, pause, and say the words, I am.
I love that.
I am. And that's, to me, that gets the connection going again. I'm automatically back in that place where I want to be. Sometimes it's, choosing to do a behavior or reframe my thoughts so that I am more in alignment. Because it's really easy for ego to get you off track.
Yeah, right. Oh, our ego is actually our friend and not our enemy.
Absolutely, yes.
One of the things that I have found is, leading a team of people, management has all the answers, and in my teachings at my job, my job, I don't believe that management has all the answers. I think that we should be the connector of many ideas, and then ultimately it's a choice. And so as I have really maintained to keep my connection throughout that 8-9 hour day, some days longer, I really try to, as I go through my day, ask for that guidance and what is the answer here, and how's the best way to deliver this message. And I do find whenever I come to interacting with people and dealing with that professional environment, that workplace, that when it comes to delivering, good news is always pretty easy to deliver, but certainly when it comes to delivering more things that people don't want to hear, and if I do it from a connected heart place,
Perfect.
the message is heard much more. They're more willing to accept it, understand it, and out of that becomes a partnership with whomever you're having that relationship, that interaction with.
Mm-hmm.
So again, that staying connected to source has been key in that. And trust me, whenever I've done things that are not when I'm not in alignment, it was getting to the end result. Certainly it's more energy, it takes more energy out of me to get there. Make sense?
Oh, absolutely. I agree with you. And you touched on one word that really is in there that I wanted to say too, heart.
Yes.
From your heart. I found that when I'm in a space of unconditional love, that doesn't mean that necessarily the behavior is acceptable by the other people, or that their choices of how they approach things is necessary, that I necessarily agree with that. But as long as I'm holding the space of unconditional love for people, I remain connected.
Yeah.
Because to me, that connection is all about love, feeling the love that comes from the universe and then letting it flow through me to others. Does that make sense?
Makes all the world of sense. I just spent last week's Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday working remote. First time I've ever worked remote, 3 consecutive days. And I did that because I had several reviews to write, and certainly in my office, the distraction of that, I wanted to make sure that I came from a place of heartfelt and to really put on in the document, their strengths, their weaknesses, and things that I encourage them to do, so that in hopes that ultimately, if I can pull those things off, then that's going to create our team to be more successful. And ultimately, that's a reflection of my success. And quite frankly, as I went through the day, each Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, my day just started a fire drill.
Mm-hmm.
And to really reflect back on that really allowed me it was a fire drill, but it was an opportunity to learn and how to kind of make sure I was back in alignment, because by the afternoon I was sitting back down in the right frame of mind, that right connection with source, and putting my heart into those reviews so that they were warranted. And I had outstanding reviews. I had 2 that were certainly need some improvement, and I give them just really tactical things that they could do. And that was, if I had come to it from a place of chaos that I experienced in the morning, I certainly would have probably not delivered the messages that they needed to hear.
Absolutely.
And I will tell you, to end those days and to kind of come back to that, I'm like, wow, this really was an opportunity to learn, grow. What did I do to create some of those stresses that I had going into it? And part of it was, if I look back on it, it was really knowing that I was going to work 3 consecutive days. What was it going to be like? And I had insecurities about what that experience was going to be. And those insecurities would hit me in the morning. Actually, I would make my first hour. It was sometime between about 8 and about noon that all hell would break loose. And believe it or not, I was able to align my energy and the people I worked with and hold them in a right space, that whatever I was faced with, I was able to solve for those challenges and to think outside the box, corporate term, but ultimately I really was thinking within on how to solve my out of the box issue. And so it was great experience. I feel very blessed to have gone through it. I have one of those reviews left to write, and it's probably going to be one of the more challenging ones to write, but that will do it. And I will actually probably do a meditation beforehand so that I can write it in a place where this person can hear what the words I need to deliver to them. So.
Absolutely. What was coming up for me as you were talking about that was the standing for the best in yourself and others. Is sometimes there's there are circumstances that happen for me that are not necessarily what I want them to be. And instead of going to, we, as part of the human experience, in my estimation, is that we always go to the most negative place first. That's part of our human experience. So, somebody does something and we jump to a conclusion that is a negative conclusion about them. And what I found when that happens is that even when, I have performance reviews coming up too, and I have a more difficult one that I'm going to have to write. But I've already set the intention in those kinds of circumstances to stand for the best in other people. And that means, to me, what are the potential things that could have caused that circumstance for that other person? Are they having some difficulty in their personal life? Did they just come through a situation that was not the best for them in the work environment? What is it that they're bringing to the table? What are they really saying about their whole experience that they're not liking by having a reaction that is not necessarily in their own alignment? That helps me to get back to my alignment, to come from that space of holding out for the best in myself and others.
No.
Does that make sense?
Yes, makes sense.
Okay.
Something that came up for me as you were saying that, that heartfelt connection, and to keep in mind that so many of us, including myself along the way, I wonder how many people really go into the workplace or just even throughout the day thinking, gee, am I connected? Are they aware of the connection to the divine? And, I would say that without judgment, many people probably are not aware of that. And so one of the things that has probably been a 2017 thing for me, and that is I bring people into my space of that and be present for them and try to send that love out. They may not know what I'm doing, but I'm trying to send that love out. And,
yes.
and it's creating a different result. They're liking what I'm saying, and they're hearing it differently. My words have been the same, but when I've added the energy of love into it and kind of recognizing where they're at instead of where I think they should be at, right? Because then that's my opinion. But when I honor them where they're at and give them love, we're propelling in a direction that together is going to ultimately lead to better performance. Looking for the successes, the happy feelings, the sense of accomplishment. We can conquer the world.
Yes, 100%. People do feel our energy, whatever our emotional energy that is around what we're saying. And that can even happen through email. Sometimes words, the way that you put words together is a reflection of where you're at emotionally, and choosing to be in that space of more love for yourself or others really does come through to people. And people are much more open when it's said from a place of the heart rather than from the head.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And words mean things. They really do.
Oh, yeah.
We all forget about that from time to time. And, and some people are just, things roll off the tip of their tongue. You're like, what did they just say? And I always, when I hear that, I'm thinking, oh, gee, really, what was behind that?
Yes.
It's like you had mentioned, we really don't know unless they're willing to share what's going on at home, right? Or some guy cut them off on the highway here, or they had a fight with their spouse before they walked out the door, and they bring all of that, those emotions, those energies into the workplace. And as leaders, right, it's up to us to kind of help diffuse and kind of regroup and focus and try to bundle it all to create a momentum to get us through the day and ultimately do what we're employed to do.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it is, I found that, being in a leadership role is, part of that is about leading by example as well. So the more I find that the more connected that I stay to that flow, to source, to the universe, the easier it is for other people to do that as well. If I'm in that place of disruption, I disrupt others. So it's more of an incentive when you look at it, not just from your own perspective, but from all the people that you're interacting with too. You can create positive momentum for them just by remaining in flow for yourself.
Yes, I totally agree. And it's also, I find it quite divine as I go through my day when I see somebody that is aligned and connected, whether they're aware of it or not. Just in my eyes, you kind of get that, or I get that vibe. Wow, this is really somebody, and I'm trying to think, what kind of message are they bringing to me? Because we all are all one, right? So in the collective mind, what is the learning in that? And even those that are not connected, again, what is the learning of that? Because we are mirrors of each other. And so those are all the things that kind of get me through the day. And I'm telling you, the clock, oh my gosh, I see all kinds of interesting numbers in it. I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, okay. To me, that's my guide saying, hey, Roger, where are you at here? Are you're in the right place or not? And those are the things that really have helped me through corporate job. I get a different experience when I'm at home. And again, my home is my shrine. It's my temple. It's, it's who I am. And trying to bring some of that into the workplace is interesting. I have a amethyst crystal at my work, right? Which is, prosperity and what have you. And I will find when I'm on a conference call, whatever, I will play with that just kind of as another way that I make sure that I'm in connection, or certainly if I'm dealing with a difficult client issue and what have you, I will make sure I have that in my hand. And I find that I usually have the words to help soothe the situation. A lot of things that I do really are trying to diffuse clients' frustration with our software or some service gap type thing. And ultimately, and I see this a lot, there isn't any of us that go into the workplace to perform a task that really just want to aggravate somebody. Really, that's really not our intent. I think they're from time to time, but sometimes when people think you're not doing something or you haven't followed up on something, they think there's some evil intent, and I will remind them that is certainly not our intent. And I go down the, we want you to be successful as much as we want to be successful. Ultimately, that makes us all happy. So I get a little bit of my happy speech, and I will tell you, it diffuses the situation. So far, 100% results with just doing that. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Mine is a clear crystal quartz is what mine is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it helps me to have the energy that I'm getting from that other person not get stuck in me. It just flows into the crystal. Yeah. So, yeah. And I think ultimately it comes down to the choice. I mean, how do you stay in flow, connected, however it is that you want to say that. I think that ultimately it comes down to choice. Setting the intention, being mindful about it, finding those tools that really help you to stay in that place, and not taking things personally. Maybe another thing I should say is that something that I say to myself whenever I'm in that situation, a reminder to myself, I just say, it's not about me.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. You have mentioned choice a couple of times, and you are correct, because you could have all of these tools in the world. I could have the clock, reminding me that I should do this. I could have the crystal.
Yep.
If I choose to ignore it or to not recognize it or to be aware of it, you could have the keys to the kingdom. If you don't open the door,
yes,
it doesn't do you any good.
Yes.
So that is true. And certainly there's sometimes too, I think that, my own personal experience, whenever I'll get caught up in some drama going on or some reactionary thing with an employee or a customer or whatever, stub my toe type thing. Sometimes I don't want to choose that. I just want to go through that emotion of letting that out. And that's okay too. I think that, after I've gone through that, I'm like, darn, I should have, applied what I teach. And, but I'm human too. And sometimes you just need to have a good, reaction, you know, to get your blood pumping, right? To be fiery and
Absolutely.
quickly you learn from it. That emotional release, that energetic release can be as healthy because there's a lesson in there for you to learn from.
100%. You know, I've said it before, that this is all a journey, and there is no arriving. You know, there's no point in time where all of a sudden I've arrived. It's all part of the learning experience. We can continue to get better, but it is about trying to get better. You know, that making choices that are more in alignment with who we are, that keep us in that flow.
Right. We never get it done.
We never get it done. And you are absolutely right, Roger, that there is times when we have to have those experiences so that we can see the contrast.
Yeah.
We have to have contrast. Otherwise, we can't appreciate the clarity either.
Well, and that contrast kind of helps us create a different type of desire, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, and thus brings back the clarity. So, love it. So, workplace divine, you know, whatever works for you. You know, I have a bit of a commute, and so that kind of allows my brain to get myself with a full day of intention. And on the commute home, I'm able to kind of release, you know, the happenings of the day.
Yes.
You know, and what was the lesson in it for me? Because there's always something in there to help me be the things that I aspire to be. Yeah,
I would agree. Well, that kind of feels concluded for me. How about for you?
Yes, me too. I didn't know I was going to do that.
All right. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for joining us for this conversation. If you want to know more about Roger, you could certainly go to his website, rogerkdawson.com. And I also have a website, blueurban.com. Until the next time, thank you for joining us. Hope you enjoyed this. If you do have any comments or you want to open a discussion around anything that we've said, please feel free to do so. We will respond to your comments as well. Thank you.
Yes. Cheers to our intention. Thanks.